Good day. Welcome to today's devotional. You'll notice a difference today. I hope at least that you'll notice a difference. Um, I've got the new camera set up and the new microphone set up and the new light and all that stuff. Thanks to Pastor Chris for helping me get all those things sorted out. And then today we're going to give her a go. So I hope everything is coming across as good as it looks on my screen. So we'll see when I check it later. Anyways, if not, let me know so that I can let me know somehow. Those of you who have a way to do so, and we'll try and fix things. But anyways, hopefully this will be the new setup, and I won't look quite as washed out as usual. And hopefully you can hear me good. Anyway, God bless you. It's devotional time, and so let's just go right into it. We're in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 6, and we've been working our way through, of course. And this part of Proverbs, this verse comes in this first segment. Chapter 4 is divided into three sections, and the first section is the person writing the proverb talking about how when he was young, his father taught him. When he was very young, his father started to teach him the ways of wisdom and the importance of that and the value of that. And so he's saying this is a good thing, and he's teaching his son, and so it's a wisdom that was received and passed on. And so here we are, and we're seeing one of the verses in the middle of all that, verse 6, and it says this: "Do not forsake her, wisdom, her. Do not forsake her, and she will guard you. Love her, and she'll watch over you." And I heard someone come into the room, so we'll see if someone joined our stream in a second. But this verse is speaking of this relationship we're supposed to have with wisdom, and so um, we have. Hello, Joe. I'm on the line right now. I'm online right now. But that's a member of our church just stopping by. So with wisdom, do not forsake her, and she will guard you. Do not love her, and she'll watch over you. This idea of having wisdom in your life and having her be so important to your life and such a part of your life, that 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 she's involved, that she's everywhere. She's involved in everything. And if you do this, if you have her close, she will serve you well. It will make your life right and proper and better. And so that's the idea here, how she'll guard over you and watch over you and all those sorts of things. So that's the idea of this verse, but let's explore it a little further with our questions. So question one: how do people forsake wisdom? How does it happen? So this is saying don't forsake her. How do people forsake wisdom? And this happens basically in our life when we don't love wisdom, when we don't make wisdom so central to us. We make wisdom flexible. And the idea here is what this person is trying to say, what the proverb is trying to say is we need a code, something to follow in our life, not just a set of options. Wisdom doesn't come along and say, hey, if you feel like it, do this. If you feel maybe you want to go that way, do that, whatever. It's, here's an idea, here's a set of options for you. That's not loving and clinging to wisdom. That's just kind of like, well, I'll think about it and I'll do whatever suits me at the moment. But what we're talking about here is kind of like having a code of life, saying this is the way I am going to live. This is going to be a standard that I follow, and I'm not going to deviate from this. And if I do that and don't treat wisdom as though it was just, God's wisdom was just options, then that will guard my life and watch over my life. We all follow a code, whether you know it or not. We all have a code of what we will and will not do. We decide, here are the boundaries of my options, of what I will do in life. My decisions will all fit within these boundaries. And those boundaries, whether you know it or not, you have them. There's things you will do and there's things you will not do. But what are they based on? The Bible talks about these ideas of the flesh and the spirit, the idea that sometimes people live by the flesh, a code that's in the flesh. And they say, whatever I desire, whatever I feel, whatever I want, I'll just do those things. And as long as I'm getting what I want and what I desire, my feelings are good, then I will be happy. And so when a decision comes in life, things you need to decide, I'm going to do this or not do this, that is the code you follow. You follow, well, what do I feel like? What do I want? Will it make me happy in this moment? And so we follow that fleshly, instinctual code. Well, this is saying, no, there's a better code. There's a code that says this is what's right. This is what's good. This is what's moral. This is what's profitable in the end. And so we have this other code that we can live by, the code of God, and we can say that when I have to come and make decisions, I will not go outside of those boundaries. I will live inside of that code, and that will determine what I will and will not do. And it becomes like a standard of life that you hold everything up to it. That's what it is to love and not reject wisdom. And that's the idea. So question 2 might be, living by a code like this sounds so rigid, right? We can say it's such a rigid feeling, like life isn't rigid. Life has got a lot of unexpected things. There's chaotic moments, and so and okay, to some degree there is chaotic moments, but the world is actually created in order, and God made it out of order and made a place that fits and works. And we're not talking here about legalism. It would be a mistake to think that by when I say we need to have the code of wisdom and morality to guide us, that we're talking about a set of do's and don'ts. It's more the idea of a set of ideas and attitudes and principles and values. It's a worldview. And from that worldview, yeah, we will develop a do and don't list of sorts, but the do and don't list becomes flexible, or at least more flexible, because it's guided by the inflexible wisdom of God. So I can say, one of the parts of the code of wisdom is fear the Lord. That's the starting of all wisdom. So that's the code. I will fear the Lord. I will put him at the highest point in my life, at the highest level of respect in my life. And if I do that, I'll be more wise. So as I go through life and I have options of honor God or honor men, I'll choose God, because that's the code. Honor God or honor my wife, I'll choose God. Honor God or honor myself, I'll choose God. And that becomes the code. It's not legalistic. It's then applied in different scenarios, in different places, when I have to make decisions. And so then there are do's and don'ts that come out of that, so to speak, as the situation requires, because I honor God. And so that's the idea of the code of righteousness, of the standard, of the principles of righteousness, and what God's talking about here. So question 3: how does this guard my life? So the proverb, this verse talks about how if we love wisdom, then she'll guard our life and watch over us. So how does this happen? And the reason it happens is because this code of wisdom that God gives us, it'll lead you into righteous living, which leads you into avoiding God's disfavor. And it leads you into righteous living, which leads you into inviting God's favor. So if I live outside of God's wisdom, then it's basically I'm leading myself into a place where I will be estranged from God, and I will basically be inviting God to have disfavor on my life. Not guarding me, that's opening me up to all sorts of dangers. But if I live by the code of God's wisdom and righteousness and his ways, then I live instead in a way that honors God and pleases God, and I invite his favor in my life, and I invite God's blessing into my life. And so it just simply is a better way. And so in all the things of life that I face, I have an ally in God because I'm living according to his ways. And then also, it's just simply pragmatically best. When you think about the things that God teaches us, righteousness and morality and wisdom, it really is just in a very, very practical sense, the best way to deal with things in life. It leads to the healthiest results most often. Now, of course, there's natural disasters and all that stuff, but in all things being equal, you will tend to have a much better time of life by simply following God's wisdom. So guard your life and following it, not rigidly, but absolutely. And so, yeah, it's like I'm not going to back down from this code. It's the way I will live. So question 4 today: why does this verse word this in such romantic language? So the verse, once again, just to read it, it's very romantic. It doesn't maybe sound that way when you first listen to it, but that's what it's saying. Don't forsake her. So remember, in Hebrew poetic language, which the Proverbs is, there's always these couplets. So they repeat an idea. Don't forsake her. Love her, right? She will guard you. She'll watch over you. So there's this doubling up. So it's like, don't forsake, love. Instead, love her. Wisdom. Love her. If you don't forsake her, she'll guard you. And if you love her, she will watch over you. And so it's got it's got a very intimate and almost romantic language to it. And why is it this way? So to remind us, the early part of Proverbs refers to wisdom in this idea of someone to marry, and I think I mentioned this earlier in this video already. But it's the idea that we're meant to marry, like be united in marriage, as it were, with wisdom. Like God designed each human being to be so connected to his wisdom that it's like we're married to her, right? So it uses feminine language. It's written to a male, so it uses feminine language to create that idea. And as the union of marriage occurs, and we can think of all the various parts of marriage, what marriage is supposed to be, and it helps us understand a bit about, this is what wisdom is supposed to be. God's ways we're supposed to be so connected. It's like we're united as one with God's ways, and we're passionately connected to God's ways, and we're devoted for life to God's ways. And so there's this whole idea of, don't just flirt with God's way of life, marry her. Like, don't reject her, love her, court her, have her in your life. If for many people, they love to look at some of the things in Christianity and say, "Oh, that's good, but I don't like that so much." And, "Oh, this is all right idea, but that idea needs to be adjusted and changed." And we want to pick and choose like we're at some sort of a buffet and choose the parts of God we like. And so you're not really living by God's code. You're living by your own and just adding pieces of his. And what the Bible is telling us is, no, it shouldn't be like that. Instead, we should love and court and marry God's ways of life, so that we're united with, and intimately connected to, and devoted for life to this person. Wisdom, ultimately God, actually, but God's wisdom, God's ways. So that's the idea. So for your question today, what is the code you live by? Have you ever examined yourself and asked yourself, what code do I live by? How do I choose? What are the principles and ideas of my life? Are they God's, or are they my own? Are they someone else's? It's worth spending some time looking through yourself and finding that out. Anyways, God bless you. The Lord willing, we will be back tomorrow with verse 7. God help us to do these things, and bless each person that watches this video, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.